Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas. The world that we live in offers a lot of questions every day, and some of them are very, very challenging. Some situations, the way they emerge, also makes us take a look at the way our world is moving. And sometimes the audio makes me wonder whether it is clean or not. But let me introduce my panelists and see how they feel about the audio system. So let me help welcome Pramod Bhagat ji, namaste, Sanjay Kaul ji, namaste, and Dr.
Namaste.
Dheeraj Kaul ji, namaste. While I'm talking about in search of harmony, Sanjay ji, I would begin with you, and we are focusing more on India. Um, there is one news which has caught attention of almost everyone, and that is a controversy that emerged out of a statement made by Nupur Sharma. And we will not get into the details of it, but people were not expecting BJP to come up with a decision of, as some people say, not being supportive to their own spokesperson. So Nupur Sharma and Naveen Jindal are no more BJP members, though she was vehemently speaking for BJP. Another issue, Dheeraj ji, you also participate in a lot of debates, and so is the situation of Pramod ji and Sanjay ji. But in India, most of the time, we come across debates leading to certain volatile situation where every speaker is provoked to come up with something which would create some controversy. I think that is another layer here. But as we are talking about, there is a need of harmony and peace and development and all the reference of India becoming Vishwa Guru. Everything is intertwined. We want peace in the world, etc. So, having said all that, let me request Sanjay ji and let us look at Kashmir Valley and many of us were very excited that Article 3 or 370 abrogation would lead to a different situation for Kashmiri Pandits. But looks like we are back to square one in terms of the series of killings in Kashmir. So, based on your reading as well as interaction with some of the people that you know in the valley, how do you feel about the current situation?
Namaskar, Ashokji, and namaskar to all your viewers. As we start talking about Kashmir, when the Article 370 and 35A were removed, we were all excited. It was long overdue, and we supported the government. We have been asking for the removal of those two articles for a long time, and it was very well done. But then we were expecting something more, something concrete to happen on ground, something that would establish the return of Kashmiri Hindus back to Kashmir in a dignified manner with honor and dignity, as well as giving recognition that a genocide in Kashmir has happened for the last 32 years, and also that there is a denial of genocide by the subsequent governments that have been in power in India. None of that thing has happened. Article 370 got removed, but then they brought back in the Domicile Act, which in a way says that somebody who has lived and worked in Kashmir for 15 consecutive years can apply for a job, can apply to hold land, things like that. That in itself annulled what Article 370's removal brought in. So things like that really disappointed us as a community. But then, under the Prime Minister's package of bringing the Kashmiri Hindus back into the valley, they had an employment package through which about 3,000 boys and girls were asked to join in Kashmir, and they were made to sign a document under which they cannot be transferred from the far-flung areas where they were deputed. And also, like if a husband and wife both are working in Kashmir, husband is appointed in one corner of the valley, the wife is appointed in the other corner of the valley. They cannot live together. And the accommodation that has to be provided to the Kashmiri Hindus in Kashmir is not adequate. So things like that, all this shows that they really, in the name of giving employment, are trying to bring back a small segment, and that they're calling it the settlement of Kashmiri Hindus, which is very undignifying. And the not recognizing the genocide in itself is a big thing, in my opinion, that government should have recognized and supported the Hindus. So these things
Okay.
have really let us down.
So, Sanjay, I appreciate your sharing this. And Dr. Dheeraj, before I go to Pramodji, and I will request him to take a look at the scenario from government's point of view, though he's not a part of the government. But Dheeraj, when we hear day after day targeted killing in the valley, what is it that comes to your mind in terms of the proactive approach while there is a governor's rule in Jammu and Kashmir? Would you expect things to be moving swift and at faster pace in different direction?
Namaskar. Thank you, Ashok ji, for having me on the show. Like Mr. Kaul just very rightly pointed out, if you look at the PMs package, total of 6,000 posts were created, 5,928 are filled up, and approximately a very small fraction, like 1,037 of them live in secure accommodations. Let me re-emphasize that accommodation means one room, three people, one restroom for eight people. So it's a very, again, I don't blame the government as such, but I want to caution the administrators, because not the chief minister or the MP sitting and drafting who's going to live where. These are bureaucracy hurdles, but obviously the supervision is done by the elected personnel. But at the same time, the conditions those dignified people are in who have already been traumatized, you have to understand, coming from very affluent background, rich people, landlord owners, very successful people, intellects, went through a traumatizing genocide, which again, I don't know why we don't call it genocide. And this is like an economical package. This is not a resettlement package. Let's get the facts right. This is just a job package. This is not a rehab of Kashmiri Pandits, because not all Kashmiri Pandits were in jobs. They were in business. They were in different side of trade. It's an entire big community which was ethical cleansing on the base of religion, complete genocide in a very systematic way to destroy the entire existence of Kashmiri Hindus, which has been going through this traumatizing experience since the onset of Mughals and even
Yeah.
1200.
So, Dr. Dheeraj, we'll come back to Valley a little bit. When Pramodji, based on the general expectation of people from central government under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, many people feel that they didn't live up to the promises that they made for people, and especially when you come across the news highlighting the targeted killings. So someone is going from Rajasthan to work in Kashmir, he's targeted, and there was this boy who just got married a month ago. He went there to serve in a bank, and there was another labor from maybe Jharkhand, probably, or Bihar, or so. So this scenario, and what would you? So there are some opposition leaders who are calling for resignation of Home Minister because he hasn't handled the situation properly. Your take on? Do you see government is proactively working in preventing it? And there were some high level meetings, as we hear, including National Security Advisor, Home Minister, etc. So your take on this scenario?
Namaste, Ashokji. Thank you for calling on ITV Gold Studio. Definitely, these all the meetings happen high level. Opposition is targeting the government because the result is not coming. This is a word Sanjay ji and Ashok ji you already mentioned. Looks like bureaucracy और maybe इच्छा शक्ति की कहीं ना कहीं कमी है जिसकी वजह से ये administration is lacking. That's why a lot of people is lost their life. Need to be get more disciplined manner and way to resolve these issues, because I know that it's not an easy task, because I know that other side is a whole terrorist group. They are ready to be just kill the people. Pakistan, all enemies surrounded by Kashmir, but definitely this meeting will end up with a very better result. We will see in coming few days.
So now let me bring to your attention, and you are aware, Dheeraj ji and Sanjay ji, there is a new fledgling terror group which is calling itself as Kashmir Freedom Fighters. And again,
Yes, right.
we heard many people blaming the whole scenario towards the activities from Pakistan. But at the end of the day, these are our people, and if it is not if actually, what else, Dheeraj, do you think government should have already done or should be doing? And now let us look at it as a law and order problem and not as a blame game. So whether you are with BJP, Congress, or whatever party you are, you don't want innocent people to be getting killed unnecessarily. So what is it that you can visualize? And if you were having a meeting with Prime Minister Modi, Home Minister, what would be your take based on the the understanding of Valley that you have?
I think that's a very smart question. If you want to know the answer, you have to think from the terrorist point of view. So, what is easier for terrorists to go to the army brigade and kill a colonel? No. The easiest thing is the shopkeeper, Golgappa wala, Kashmiri Hindu who's working without protection, going in his office, asking for his name and shooting him, so that the terror is created. I think the problem, instead of pushing Kashmiri Hindus to an area, separating the husband, wife somewhere, that's totally illogical concept. Not creating a safe zone, and before creating a safe and secure environment, pushing them like guinea pigs. That's what the feeling in the community is. They are not there to receive a bullet. Listen, if you pick between job and life, I think life is the priority. Safety and security of Kashmiri Pandits is the responsibility of the local administration. They are not trained in guerrilla warfare. We are not. We don't know how to use a weapon. There is no defensive forces. I think it's a lack of intelligence. I think really they need to work on their intelligence. We need to learn from Israel with facial recognition. How are those weapons coming in the valley? We need to seize those weapons. And now look at it. They came with a new, brand new, excellent idea. A regular person comes in, takes a pistol, shoots, and goes back home. And for 1 year, he's done. So this is a very hard challenge. I do understand, but I think we have to rethink out of the box. I think the intelligence agencies have to smell the coffee, wake up, maybe equipped with latest technology, and be very serious.
So, Pramodji, now looking at this scenario from the point of view of government to prevent escalation of terror activities in the valley, and as Dheeraj ji were mentioning, what we need to appreciate is nobody would like to be in harm's way, and why should they be? What I'm humbly trying to bring to your attention is the emphasis on development, economic package, etc. is good, but as long as you are not working towards providing a safe environment for people to live and enjoy, uh, then all this ultimately appears to be futile. So indirectly, I'm questioning the approach of Prime Minister Narendra Modi as far as his commitment for the valley is concerned. And for few months, we saw a lot of tourists started coming back to valley, and looks like things are improving, but that was very short-lived period. So, do you feel there should be a repositioning of the priorities of the government? So, along with development, they need to be cognizant of the challenges that internal security is posing for everyone.
Well, Ashokji, whatever my understanding with the after the meeting, high level meeting has been happened, definitely the result definitely we will see in a few days. And what about the world war? Like world is like Ukraine and Russia war. In Quad, our honorable prime minister has met with other three another prime ministers and presidents. So looks like due to the world politics situations, uh, those terrorist group and जो anti-social element, they are taking advantage of this situation because due to the infl- high inflation and prices are going up, COVID challenges. Definitely, government is going to be go more hard way to fix this problem. Otherwise, it is going to be whatever they done after 370, great job they done. A lot of things has been according to you. You also mentioned a lot of things looks like it's going on a right way, but this like a last almost 3-4 weeks, we saw that drastic change of the violence and all this stuff. Definitely need to be hand over to the army and get clean those cockroaches, whoever they are doing the negatives for the our country. That is only solution, because otherwise we don't think with humanity, Vasudev Kutumbakam and kind of slogans and Sabhi Hamare Parivar, they don't feel like, because their thinking level, their education level, and the way they build up, only way to be go with the hard way. Soft way is not going to be work it out. And I
Talking
think
about the
our honorable PM and our Indian government, they are showing to this world that this is the only one way. We try another way, it didn't work. So now we go in a straight way, like a Balakot style, and fix this problem.
so now uh, looking at the approach which government, or rather, let us look at BJP has shown again and again with respect to its support for people who are working for the party, whether it was in West Bengal, or so people felt that they were let down, and the party didn't come to their rescue as strongly as it was expected, and that is the general optics which we have. And I don't know exact details inside. And Sanjay ji, looking at this recent situation that emerged with the statement of Nupur Sharma, which was further tweeted by BJP's another Delhi leader Naveen Jindal, uh, and both were let go. Initially, for a week or so, party expressed its support for her, and then there are questions, and we will, as I mentioned, we will not get into it. But some people feel that she didn't say anything which was not already said. And some people felt that she did use some expressions which are hurtful. Now, leaving that debate aside, looking at, she was speaking on behalf of BJP, and she was responding to the kind of situation which was there, as she said that she could not take well expressions which were disrespectful for Lord Shiva were made in the debate, and that led her to. Uh, so overall, how do you look at the role that BJP played, and what do you think is the reason that they didn't sustain their support for their spokesperson?
I think I think we are very misled by the notion that BJP is going to be the one fighting every war for every Hindu in the country. I think there is lack of spine in BJP led government, and that has happened ever since we saw the genocide in Kashmir. In 1989, the United Front government was supported by BJP with its 89 member parliaments. And when we were thrown out of Kashmir, BJP could have done something, withdrawn support, and shown some spine, but it did not. Currently, if you look at, we are saying things are changing a little bit, but they are not changing. What is the ground reality? In the last 4 or 5 months, we have numerous killings. Just in last month, 8 people have been pinpointed and killed in their offices at random without any inhibition on anybody's part. Is it that other governments are providing some pressure on government of India? Is it Pakistan doing? Is it no? Look at it. It's the local Kashmiri people. They are doing it. It is the inflow of arms and ammunition to them, and it is the ease with which they then disperse within the community, the Kashmiri Muslim community, that is supporting this whole thing. And I think the government of India is always seeing Kashmir as an economic problem,
Okay,
as a
so
political problem.
sorry to interrupt. So I was asking you about the case of Nupur Sharma.
No,
I
I am
understand
going
what
to
you're
come
saying.
to that. See,
Yes.
what I'm trying to describe, that they have never supported anybody, when actually the former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, he formed the BJP government. He said this is more like a secular nationalistic government on the Gandhian secularism. It is not a Hindu front. It is not
I
a
think
Hindu
I
political
think
party.
that is
And if you look at it, even Nupur, she has been a spokesperson at a national level since 2014, and she has defended the government. She has represented the government, and she did get provoked as per what she said, because Mahadev was being people were saying wrong things about our Lord Shiva, and she reacted. We can understand a big percentage of the population in India is a Muslim major population, and we have to always take everybody with us. So we cannot confront, but the party has to show some spine when their
Okay,
own
so let me interrupt you,
when
and
their
I'll
own
quickly,
people are being confronted.
Sanjay ji,
I
allow me
would
to-
just add one thing: the drastic action they took because Qatar asked for our representative there in their country to explain the situation, and that kind of led to what they have done. But we have never questioned Qatar because Qatar was in bed with the Afghanis, Taliban. They were funding and pushing for the Muslim Brotherhood. They are our enemies, and we never asked their representative to come and explain
we'll
it.
come back to. I'll come back to you, but I just want to make a point based on what I heard from you. And on the one hand, you actually have answered your question while you mentioned that BJP doesn't consider itself as a Hindu representative party, which I
Correct.
think, and Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas also takes everyone into, and that's given. But now, when you begin by mentioning that BJP has not shown spine, that is where I would like to kind of analyze it and look at it from the macro point of view. And Dheeraj, when you bring the international picture, and indeed, India is not a Hindu nation, and there are many Islamic nations, and this conglomeration of Islamic nations, when there are, of course, business interests involved, and the way that community reacts and the way the Hindu community reacts is very, very different. So that finally leads to the kind of outcome that you perceive. But now look at it from the point of view of the logic of the government in deciding what they decided in the face of, call it, the pressure, if you say, from Qatar, Iran, and these countries. Do you see there is a long term uh, intelligence and not to be described as spineless act? How do you see it?
See, I'll give you a prospect in two areas because I was a media in India this morning also on the same topic. There is two set of people in India. One is very angry with the government of expelling her, and other one understand in the whole macro as a global world what is going on. As you know, we have geopolitical issues going on globally. We are moving towards maybe financial crisis or food crisis. World is very unstable right now. There's a war going on, and please understand the numbers. India and Qatar trade $15 billion in 2021, 2022. The highest investor in startup is Qatar and UAE. Next number you need to understand, India exports 421.89 billions to the sixth country, which is UAE, Saudi, Qatar, Oman, Kuwait, and Bahrain. And they import 612 billion. These countries account for 15% of India's global trade, which is huge. On the second, another thing I want to tell you is the energy. If you talk about the energy, 1/3 of India's oil imports are from Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, Saudi, and UAE. CGC is the Gulf Corporation, and 65% of India's impressive annual remittance, which is sent by people working in small jobs, is 80 billion in last 3 years annually. So we have a big number, like approximately around 9 million of Indian workers in different subsects are working there, and we have to think about them as well. And at the same time, you see, India is a secular country. We even respect each and every religion. We have to be very sensitive. I do understand she got upset and was led in, but she has a master's in law. She's a professional lawyer. She has been in ABPP as a leader. She has an extensive experience being a debater as well. So I have done a lot of debates and have been on media. Nobody can instigate you to speak what you don't want to speak. And when you represent the party, you have to represent what party means, not your own personal views. So there has to be a filter. And I totally support the action done by BJP because we have to live together as a united India, and that's how we will grow. So I do support the party's role. And like they have clarified, India is a secular country, and we want to live in harmony, respecting each other's religion. So I think this has sent a very good message globally. And Saudi Kingdom Ministry of External Affairs has recently appreciated India's effort in making sure the stage is set right. Although Qatar has asked for a apology by the government of India, but I think it's too much. At this time, things have set. We have a lot of fronts open up in India right now. China, we have a Ukraine-Russia war going on. We have another front opening up there, and then we have Pakistan. So we cannot start creating. This is the worst time to start a controversy like that. Let's put it this way. And I think in the interest of nation, central government has done an excellent work.
So, Dr. Dheeraj, looking at the scenario as it is, I think we cannot have one way of looking at it. I mean, there are people who feel that government, through this decision, has taken away the freedom of expression, or it has pushed people to a corner where they feel that their dignity is compromised.
But just one quick point. You see, she was representing Bharatiya Janata Party, not herself. She has to stay on the lines of BJP. BJP's line is India is a secular country. We respect and we want to live with all the religions together in harmony.
So I already mentioned, because that will take a long. What did she say, and how, whether it was out of totally line or not? So we are not getting into that, because it would require some additional explanations. And some people feel that what she said has already been said, and it was not a new. But again, yeah. So looking at the limitation of time, Pramodji, what happened in Kanpur? In 2 minutes, I would request you to sum up during the visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while he was there to announce a lot of development work, and this particular reference of Nupur Sharma triggered, or was it a pre-planned? So let me just mention in two lines that over 2,500 people with lot of prepared stone pelting, and disruption took place, which now is being countered by Yogi government. They have probably identified 25 plus people, some arrested, some they are going to put their photographs, etc. So actually not even 2 minutes, in 1 minute, if you talk about the counter action by Yogi government to prevent escalation of such situations.
Well, Ashokji, as I mentioned in my previous speech also, this is the only way when we make a discipline, because these are all pre-planned. And I lived in the India. I know last 25 years I'm here, but still, because I lived in the Muslim areas, I understood the whole concepts and what their whole mindsets are. And Nupur Sharma's whatever situation happened, I know India is a secular country. BJP is trying to be so as a secular party line. Vasudev Kutumbam, we feel everybody is our family. Whole West is our family. But some terrorist kind of people, some negative, or maybe like the person who is no good work for the country, the better to be. We have to be go in a hard way that the Yogi ji is doing.
Yeah.
That is a wonderful work he is doing. We all are appreciating his work.
So appreciate Pramodji that, and Dheerajji, when Pramodji says hard way, he means being firm and taking legal action without any bias. And I think on that front, probably people
Sorry
feel
for Nupur
Yogi
Sharma
is,
ji. I know
doing
Nupur
the right
Sharma ji
thing.
is trying to be put the party line, but somewhere looks like somebody doing the bad thing. We have to, don't change our line, because we
So,
are everybody's
so
watching.
let me have just 30 seconds to conclude by mentioning that in search of harmony, overall Indian spirit is committed, and people by and large understand the nuances. And some people get carried away, but there are others who would find the space where we have a sense of peace and harmony. I appreciate Pramod ji joining us, Sanjay ji, and Dr. Dheeraj for being a part of this conversation. And thanks to all our viewers. This is Ashok Vyas. Namaste.